the Chip Kelly as a coach, he's known for being very creative in special teams and on these special teams type plays, whether it's an onside kick in the second or third quarter, whether it is going for two and having the ball thrown up to a long snapper. What is that process every day in practice, just preparing yourself for these type of occurrences? And then when you hear it called in the game, what are those emotions when you're running out on the field, knowing that you're going to try something a little bit crazy or a little bit out of left field?
Yeah, it was always pretty interesting because as specialists, we obviously have a lot more time to sit around and like watch film and watch other specialists and critique them. But we all got pretty good at drawing up certain things, and like we would bring all those things up to Chip, and he was like willing to listen. And part of one of the big things that I appreciated about Chip, just from like a specialist perspective, is that the only reason he like really liked doing the swinging gates, and he said this publicly a ton of times, is like, even if we never run it, it's 20 minutes during the week that the other team has to spend scheming against it. So it's 20 less minutes that they're practicing third and long or some other period that they normally are practicing on a week-to-week basis. And so that's just one of the many examples of like how creative Chip is and how much of an edge he's trying to get. Everything from practicing in the morning so we have longer to recover, or, making the other team sacrifice 20 minutes of practice time to scheme against our swinging gates. Just all sorts of things like that you have to appreciate about being around Chip on a day-to-day basis.
So one of the reasons we brought you on isn't necessarily one of your finest moments, but it's definitely one of the most memorable. Down at Arizona, 2009. What do you remember from that day in particular, and that snap that was so crucial that Nate Costa just barely got down in time for us to be able to send it to that 3 overtime thriller?
Yeah, that was an unbelievable day. I have a lot of crazy memories because so many kids from my high school go to Arizona or went to Arizona. I think there were like 17 kids from my graduating class that were at Arizona. And so I remember seeing them, like they'd walk over to our side and like wave and stuff like that. So I remember, especially during the 2-minute drive, them starting to come on the field. And here's something I'll preface before we even talk about the snap. I never got nervous or like thought about the ramifications that specific snap had. I get asked about it a lot, and I've told the story so many times because that's the first question people ask is like, did you ever have a bad snap? And I bring up the video and I show them the 2-minute drive and all that stuff. But it wasn't because I was like nervous or anything of that nature. It just like happened to be at that point that I had, the worst snap of my career. But Nate did save me, and I'm reminded about it all the time. But going back to the memories, I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. The student section coming on the field. I remember a couple of the ballsy play calls that Chip had during the 2-minute drive. I remember Jerron Kreiner kind of tearing us apart. I believe he took a slant like 70 yards with 4 or 5 minutes left, and I was like, damn, that's game over. But then, we come around, we have the 2-minute drive. Ed Dixon has that awesome touchdown, and then just took over in overtime. But unbelievable game, and basically sealed the Rose Bowl right then and there. I always tell people, I almost single-handedly cost us that first Rose Bowl.
Damn, man. Don't go too hard on yourself, man. You still get it. It wasn't that bad. It could have been worse.
Oh, it could have been really bad.
But yeah, thinking back on that moment, everybody's dogpiling on Mazzoli. Those emotions take over. What's it like? When was the moment that you kind of realized? Was it film? Was it, or did you know right away after the game? Like, man, that's something I'm gonna have a talk with Coach Oz about.
Oh, he let me know about it right when I walked to the sideline. I mean, he's the type of guy you don't really get yelled at by, but he just gives you that look. Same with Coach Rad. Those are just guys you don't want to disappoint. So when I got that look right when getting to the sideline, I was like, I don't know, Coach. That was the first bad snap I've had in months. It was really weird. I can never explain it, but no, I knew right away, and I knew that I deserved all the shit I got the next couple of weeks. So